It's time for a real challenge. I'm going to play every single game that comes up when you search Half-Life on the itch.io store page. There are a lot of things that come up when you search for Half-Life on itch.io, so I need to lay out some ground rules. For this challenge, I'm only going to be playing games. Some of the things on here are mods, and some are asset packs or even soundtracks. And those things are not games, so I will be skipping them. Additionally, a cursory glance reveals things that look like they could give my computer a virus, so I will not be downloading them. Some free advice to new game developers: your store page should not look suspicious. That sounds like a low bar, but some of these games fail to reach it. Anyways, I get a feeling that some of these games I play are going to make me regret attempting this challenge. So let's get started. Half-Life. In parentheses, no, not the Valve one. The description for this game begins with a desperate clarification that this is not the Valve one. I imagine this poor person just wanted to make a game about nuclear physics, only to be bombarded with comments asking why there's no Gordon Freeman. So Half-Life is a match 3 game involving the decay of radioactive isotopes. You have to match up the isotopes quickly before they decay. It's an interesting twist on the classic match 3 format, if a bit simple. Half-Life Atomic Infinite Runner. In this game, you play as an atom of carbon trying not to get sucked into a black hole. There's a weird weightiness to the movement of this game, probably because of all the black holes. Most of the time I was confused why I didn't get sucked into a black hole, or surprised that I did. It works on mobile, which is interesting for a browser game, but personally I did not try out that feature. Half-Life Game Boy. I think this is supposed to be a version of Half-Life for the Game Boy, but I tried pressing every button, and while I could get the menu to load, I could not get the game to load, so I don't really know what it's about. Half-Life 2D Demo. The Half-Life 2D demo shows some promise, but as far as I can tell, only the intro ride on the tram is playable. It has an interesting graphic style which I would like to see in a longer Half-Life fan game, but as it is, there isn't much here to talk about. Pico Life. I'm not sure what's going on with this game. So it is a charming demake of the original Half-Life. For those that don't know what a demake is, it's when you take a game and remake it as if it came out on an older console. However, the first few times I loaded the game, it started up a weird version of Flappy Bird where there's no collision and you can't die. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. It's a Pico 8 game, which is fun. Pico 8 is a quote-unquote fantasy games console with a limited resolution and palette that is often installed on a Raspberry Pi as part of a novelty console build. A lot of people make games for it, and there is a fun challenge to make something within its limited capabilities. Pico Life generally follows the plot of the original Half-Life, just from a 2D perspective. The combat has an old Atari or early Nintendo feeling in it that is a little clunky, but with a retro charm. I love the pixel art recreation of the resonance cascade. It's decently fun and seemingly one of the more complete demakes I've played so far. Half-Life Permafrost. This game is a text adventure game. Now, these kind of text adventure games where you can allegedly type in anything but really just have to guess the words the developer accounted for aren't really my cup of tea. It starts out with Gordon, Alex, and Dr. Mossman about to board the Borealis, and the Combine are hot on their heels. I tried shooting my gun. Nothing happened. I tried firing my gun at the Combine. Nothing happened. I tried talking to Alex, and the game told me to ask Alex about something specific. I ask Alex about the Combine. Alex has her hands full with the Combine. I think that's the understatement of the fucking century, folks. Half-Life 4. My antivirus software really didn't want me playing this game. They tried to stop me. They wanted to keep me from the truth. But after telling it that I really wanted to play Half-Life 4, it finally loaded the game. It's a music video where Dr. Eli Vance and Dr. Kleiner sing the song In the End by Linkin Park. I'm not really sure why this is a game and not a YouTube video, but it is a beautiful creation and belongs in a museum. Half-Life 2 Deathmatch 2D. For some reason, this game reminds me of a game by 2Clicks Philip called Dragoneramine. It's a top-down shooter that pretends to be multiplayer. I do like the very argumentative fake chat log on the side. It really sells the full online gaming experience. Despite all the chaos on screen, not much is happening because the bullets don't really do much damage. Half-Life Puzzle Script. Apparently, Puzzle Script is an HTML5 game engine specifically for making puzzle games, and this is a port of Half-Life to that engine. This is one of the more extreme demakes that we've seen so far. Half-Life Top-Down. This reimagining of Half-Life as a top-down shooter has slightly more advanced graphics than some of the others, but also slightly less advanced gameplay. It's also got this weird spirally effect when you die, which is kind of cool. So at this point, I've been tempted to retitle the video I attempted to play all the Half-Life games on itch.io, but I must steel myself and press onward. It's hard to tell how many more games I have left because many of them don't work or are just mods, but I'm not even sure if I'm halfway there. If you're watching this, please send help. Half-Life 9. Wow, a 3D game? I honestly forgot those existed for a second. I think this is meant to be a multiplayer game, which is why the world is empty. Personally, I don't have any friends, so I'm unable to play this game as a multiplayer title and test it out. But you can play it for yourself and let me know if it's any good. The level design looks somewhat intriguing, so maybe it's fun. The developer claims in the comments that it's a parody of Valve games, but I'm not really sure they know what parody means. Half-Life 3. I'm not downloading a game with the description Half-Life 3 real, actually real, no virus free, and if that disappoints you and makes you click away from the video, then I am very sorry. Half-Life 0. The cover art here leaves something to be desired, but the comment on the game which reads, "I will forever be thinking about Chibi Gordon," is certainly intriguing. Let's get it downloaded. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this game. First, upon loading it up, you realize that this is an RPG Maker game. Now, RPG Maker games have a certain reputation like a lot of amateur game engines, but we shouldn't be quick to judge because as promised, we instantly encounter Chibi Gordon Freeman. There he is, in outer space for some reason, and he is pissed about the G-Man. In fact, he seems to have a murderous intent. Then we load into the only screen for this game. Yep, this is the only area. I checked. Then we meet our team. Yes, just like in a regular RPG, you build a party of 4 members to fight enemies. Usually this happens slowly over the course of the game, but in this one they're just all standing right here. Your party members are Alex, Barney, and Mitchell. Yes, Mitchell from fucking Hunt Down the Freeman. Amazing. I walked over to speak with Barney and he said, "I don't the thing, I ow you." He joined my party though. My first playthrough, I thought that this guy in blue might be worth talking to, so Barney and I walked over to him to say hello, and it turns out that he's the final boss. Here we find out that the weird cover art from earlier is actually supposed to be the G-Man. He's not very tough to defeat, and then the game just returns you to the title screen. Honestly, this one is a 10 out of 10 for me. Half-Life Fishing. Personally, I love a good fishing game, so I was kind of interested in trying this out. So G-Man tasks you with doing some fishing.
It has come to my attention that my employers think that you are unable to go fishing. I disagree.
And with the help of that guy from Lost Coast, you catch a fish, a head crab, and a combine soldier. Then you end up in a helicopter shooting other helicopters with a minigun, which isn't fishing, so that's kind of disappointing. This game needs more fishing. 3 out of 10. Half-Life Clicker. Well, it's a clicking game. It has upgrades and a high score mechanic, but nothing to write home about as far as I can tell. Maybe there are secrets if you get a high enough score, but I went up to about 2,000 and didn't find anything. Half-Life 2D Block Mesa. This game looks promising, as it claims to have a 90-minute playtime and actually seems to be a project undertaken less for the memes, but due to a real passion for the game. So this is Half-Life, but as a 2D platformer. It's actually really well made, and Cubic Freeman is amazing. A few difficulty spikes that caught me off guard, but I am not the best at platformers, so maybe it's easier for other people. Honestly, this is probably the one game you should play out of all the games in this video. Even dying in this game is kind of funny with the simple and silly animations. Additionally, there's lots of funny recreations of scenes from Half-Life. I love this part where the scientists fall down the elevator. This game is well made and polished to an extent that the other games that I've encountered here just aren't. The graphics are simple, but convey a great deal with their consistent style and cartoonish charm, coupled with some excellent shaders that give it that extra shine. Clearly, a great deal of effort was put into making this game, and it's a shame that it's so far down on the search listing because it really should be at the top. This might be the one game that I don't uninstall right after recording it, so that's my official endorsement. Half-Life but the. Anyways, this game is Half-Life mixed with Undertale. I have played both of these games, but I'm not sure I understand what's going on here. No idea if the dialogue here is referencing something I could know about, or if it's all just insane rambling. It's well made enough, and it feels like playing Undertale with Half-Life 2 characters. And at the end we get Animal Crossing Half-Life, which is also hilarious. So I'm about halfway down the list of games, although I think the ordering is actually somewhat random every time I reload the page, so it's possible that I might miss a few games because of that. Oh no. However, it seems the further down I scroll, the more games are just mods or soundtracks or asset packs, which, as I said before, aren't part of the challenge, so that's giving me hope that I'm in the home stretch. I also cannot bring myself to play the Five Nights at Freddy's Half-Life parodies. I'm sorry, but I could not live with myself if I did that. Half-Life GB. So this is another Game Boy version of Half-Life, but this one actually works. So it's a 3D game, which is kind of cool. However, the Game Boy palette does make the game a little confusing to look at. There are just too few colors to discern some of the details, especially empty hallways where it will look like a dead end, but it's actually a corner. You do get a variety of weapons right away, which is nice. I did die a lot because it's sometimes confusing if you are doing damage or if the enemy is hurting you. And when you first pick up the crowbar, I could not figure out how to equip it. Still, it's an interesting little game that's worth a play for a few minutes. Half-Life 2 Episode 3 Gordon Freeman Rational Man. This is a visual novel. Interesting. So throughout this game, Gordon is an annoying little shit, and you have to play as him trying to debate the Combine. It's making fun of the average centrist Redditor personality. The combat system where you make pointed remarks while the Combine beat the shit out of you is honestly kind of funny. At the end of the game, the Combine gets sick of Gordon's Ben Shapiro Debate Club energy and shoot him in the head. However, Gordon dies believing he has won the argument. The drawings in the game are funny, though the joke of the game is laid on so thick that it might just crush you to death. The Half-Life of Florovium. I have no idea what this game is about. It's very short and the description warns you that it is a waste of time to play. Let's move on to the next game. Half-Life 3. I guess this person named their unrelated game Half-Life 3 to get it more attention on itch.io, though I don't think anyone should be tricked into thinking that Valve would release Half-Life 3 for free onto itch.io. I could not stomach more than 30 seconds of this game, to be honest. Sorry, it's just kinda bad. Half-Life Half-Broken. I download the game and it's not called Half-Life Half-Broken, it's called Flappy Ship, and you can imagine what that would be like, and you would be right. However, it doesn't use Flappy Bird controls. Your ship just follows your cursor. At one point I moved my ship above the level by accident, and so I couldn't die. Half-Life Alyx by Ben. This is a cool little low poly model of Alyx's glove. Not a game, but it's still kinda cool. Half-Life Shipment. Is this the last game? I think the rest are just mods or repeats of games that didn't work. So, now I present Half-Life Shipment. Let's see if it's any good. Well, it's got blocky graphics and some nice weapon variety. I especially enjoy the grappling hook on the shotgun. It's a simple game, but out of all the 3D games I've played today, I think I enjoyed this one the most. Somehow I made it through this challenge. While I enjoyed some games, I hope you appreciate the slog that this challenge has been. One thing I must say is that I feel like I've experienced the intro of Half-Life way too many times. Every game seemed to start with riding the tram for either a minute or the same full 5 minutes that actually happens in the original Half-Life game. I would say that if you're making a Half-Life demake, start with a playable section of the game. In the original Half-Life, the graphics in the game were new and exciting, which is why they got away with that. But in a demake, there just isn't the same awe and wonder. Anyways, the takeaway here is that you should play Half-Life Block Mesa, and that I need to take a long break from playing video games. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing for more weird Half-Life related stuff.